Welcome to the Infinite Podcast. My name is Carlos Andres Ruiz, and today we have another guest. I am now with my wife, but she is in the control room, so shout out to Mel, who is blessing us with her director skills. As a wife, actually, she's become more of a commander, which I love. But anyways, today we're not going to talk about Melissa. Today we're going to talk about our guest that we have with us today. And normally when I have guests, I don't really like to talk about their resume as like all the things that they achieve. I just call them my friends. And so today we have Robinson Medina. Robinson, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me on your space, bro. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Every time I do a podcast with a new person, I feel like I'm with them in the first one, and it feels like, oh, all these lights, these cameras, and so it takes a few minutes to just warm up. It's almost like a training session, warm up questions, try to get the energy of the room, and until we get to this more authentic part of the conversation. But no, it's always a pleasure to run into you in so many places. Sometimes I'm training the Eastie kids and you're doing a workout on the field. Sometimes I'm at a coffee shop and you just walk into it and then we just sit and we end up talking for, normally it's never been less than 15 minutes.
No, never.
So I think that this was going to be a great place for us to connect. And before we get into anything, tell the people who Robinson is.
Oh, man. Like I was explaining to you earlier off camera, I always feel like when you're explaining to someone who you are, I feel like that always evolves over time. Right? So the person that I was, you know, a couple years ago, I don't think I'm the same person anymore.
Yep.
Probably the essence is still the same.
Okay.
And for that, I would definitely say that I'm just an honest, hardworking person that kind of grew up in a similar situation as you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to stick it with that because otherwise I'll just be rambling on to stuff that won't make sense.
Honest, hardworking man. I think just about every conversation that I have with you, we end up talking a little bit about work, and I've never heard you be at a place where you don't want to work. You're always asking like, yo, is there another job? Is there something that I can do here? And then it's a combination of like you wanting to work and you wanting to do something meaningful, which is something really unique to you, that even though we don't spend a lot of time together, all these episodes that we run into each other, that essence does remain. And so I agree. I appreciate that about your essence. And you said something about that you had a similar upbringing to me. Say more about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I mean it more in the sense of like, obviously, I don't know if your viewers know that you're Colombian, but I'm also Colombian, so right.
How do you feel about this jersey?
It's a nice jersey. I mean, it's always just a little, a little banter from...
Banter? Wait, hold on. You're going to have to explain what that word means.
Nah, man, you guys know what banter is.
I don't know what banter means, so explain it to me.
Banter is kind of like cracking jokes on the rival team.
Oh, okay, got it.
So kind of making fun of each other, like, oh, your team is bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Or your team owns their stadium, but not really.
Okay, I'm there.
Or, hey, your club doesn't pay its players. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm there. So, Melissa is a Nacional fan, but all these Nacional fans, I don't know. Like, I believe some, I don't believe some, because she doesn't even know when they play. Are you a real fan, or are you?
Oh yeah, I'm tapped in, bro.
You're tapped in.
I'm tapped in.
Are you more of a Nacional fan or Arsenal fan? Because I know you love Arsenal.
Oh, that's a great question. I have to say Nacional, because even though the Colombian league is poor, by a lot of standards, it's like it can be a piece of shit, but it's my piece of shit. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so like
you have a.
It's just like the family thing, like
you have pride on your piece of shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if Arsenal made it to the Champions League final and Nacional was gonna play un clásico, Nacional? You missed the Champions League final over Clásico?
Wait, they're going at the same time?
Yeah. You can only watch one.
Oh, then no, I'm watching the Champions League final.
Okay.
Just because of the importance of it.
Okay, and if it's a Copa Libertadores final for Nacional and a Champions League final for Arsenal, which one are you watching?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I would love to be like a smartass and say I'm gonna just play them both at the same time.
No, but you can't.
Nah, I would definitely pick the Nacional final for sure. Just because, like I said, it's something. Before I was an Arsenal fan, I was a Nacional fan. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a family thing,
Yeah.
and just like the roots. And people might see this and be like, well, he's lying. And you know what? You just have to
Who's
trust
gonna
me
say
on it.
that? Who are you thinking of right now?
I'm not thinking of anyone in particular because I'm not sure who else is tapped into your podcast, but you know, some people always have something to say.
That's
so.
true. That's true. All right, rewind. Let's go back to, you said we have similar upbringings.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
continue that.
So like, I feel like for most kids that their parents immigrated from somewhere, I feel like culturally there's a lot of things that were similar in regards to the way that our parents ran their households.
Okay.
So I feel like even if we might not have kind of grown up together in the same house, we had very similar upbringings in the sense where, like, you know, the values that our families taught us were the same. And for example, at my house, like, they made us go to church on the weekends, and I'm sure they did the same at your house.
Yeah.
Or they told you when you're speaking to your elders how to, like, how to respond to them, making sure that you're always polite and things of that nature, and that, you know, you ask permission and all of that stuff.
Is there any particular value that you feel was installed inside of you from home that you feel has really molded who you are?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely when it comes to, like, at home, like, being neat and organized. I was definitely one of those people where, like, I would get up and not make my bed, as an example. But then my mom would be like, yo, you got to make your bed. And then it's just funny because, like, now as I'm older, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that every morning I get up now. And, like, even though my mom doesn't live with me, I can still hear her, like, in my head saying, yo, make your bed.
Yeah.
Or they'd be like, oh, you know, fix up your room because we're going to have company over. And I'd be like, yeah, but they're not going to come in my room. And then she'd be like, well, you know, you take a shit every day, but you still wipe your ass, right? You don't not wipe it because you're going to poop again later. You know what I'm saying?
I want to hang. Your mom should come to the podcast.
No, definitely not. I love my mom, but no.
That's funny.
No, she would not.
I think something that we like to really focus on in this podcast is that we believe in three pillars that really are engraved in the human, and is relational intelligence, character development, and emotional intelligence. And I think our moms have embedded in us such a unique ability to develop our character even when we're not with them.
Right.
And this voice in our minds is like, make your bed, but it's so much more than to make your bed, is to do something for yourself, you know? And so just knowing that there's these overlaps in, regardless of if you're from Medellin and I'm from Cali, we have a similar voice speaking to us when we wake up of do something for yourself. And it might be make the bed, or it might be have a job.
Actually, another example that I just thought of too is when I was younger, right, I would just kind of put on, like, my shirt, and if it could be wrinkled, it could look like a raisin, but I'm still walking out the door, bro. But my mom, she would take the shirt off my back and, like, iron it. So now whenever I put on a shirt and I look at it and I'm like, nah, I gotta put this through an iron before I head out. And my girlfriend will be like, yo, like, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine.
Why do you think mom cares about those things?
She just wanted to make sure that I was presentable, you know, like making sure that I was clean. And to her, that was a big deal. I remember her telling me that she always wanted to make sure that her school clothes looked good and that she smelled good and everything was, you know, pristine. So I think that she wanted us to kind of, at first I didn't really understand it because, you know, when you're a little kid, you don't understand anything and you think you know it all. But it's just making sure that we look presentable. So now, you know, along with a daily shower, make sure my clothes look fine, that they're not dirty. I mean, today I kind of broke my rule, and that's probably why you're laughing, because you gave me the sweater today.
No, I'm not laughing.
Well, anyways, you gave me the sweater today, which is actually really nice.
I didn't give you bought that sweater.
Right. I bought the sweater, and the shipping was free. But the sweater I had was just dirty somehow, so it kind of really saved me today. Because it would be really funny.
Your mom would thank you, because you were saying all that, and you have all the.
I was just going to wear the t-shirt I had underneath and go from there.
Mom was looking out for you somehow.
So I wouldn't be able to show her that video like, oh, hey, Mom, I was on my friend's podcast. And, you know, then I got this wrinkly, dirty shirt. So,
by the way, when I was preparing the hoodie, because they've been in a box for so long, this part right here was so wrinkled, so we actually had to iron it. So all that to say that not only the bed, like make your bed, but also like make sure that everything's presentable. So we ironed it just to make sure that when we got it to you, it was presentable.
Exactly, and that's the stuff that that our parents cared about, so they kind of instill that in us, that we should also care about these little things.
Why is presentable important, or how have you felt that has helped you as an adult?
I feel like that's helped me as an adult in terms of the professional setting, where you want to go to work, and I feel like your presentation ties into people's perception of you that you are competent. Because before you open your mouth, they look at you from head to toe. And so I don't know what the correct word for it is, but when you come in, your clothes look fine, you look clean. This is someone that cares about what they look like, and in turn will care about the job.
Yeah, and I think it also says on the relational intelligence part of things, like this is a way to show them that I care about them. And that I want to honor the moment that I'm going to spend with them, which I think we tell so much, even like you're saying, without even opening our mouth, we can say so much. If you arrive on time, if you arrive dirty, if you are in a conversation but you're on your phone. And I think that maybe there could be some sort of gaps between the way that we were brought up and maybe how youth may be brought up after we were young. And so I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about what some of the gaps may be, or some of the differences. It could be an opportunity or an upbringing. What are some differences that you notice between the way that you grew up and the way that you see some younger people grow up now?
I mean, I guess the easiest thing for us to say is definitely social media. I think that social media can be a very, very useful tool. And so the fact that we didn't have that growing up, and you kind of you would hear things from people that saw someone do something. When you could have probably never seen them yourself. And so that is definitely, not only is it the easiest, but I think it's like the biggest example that there is, because there is a lot of information out there. Not all information is good. But I think if we would have had the same information, we might have turned out a little different.
How so?
In the sense that, speaking for myself, as a little kid, I was very impressionable. So you see so much stuff like within seconds, just either scrolling through whatever social media platform you use, that you're just kind of like receptive to everything. And not all of it is good. We've seen a lot, like online, a lot of people just doing really like questionable things, or they'll take pranks too far, or they'll just try to promote a product that they know is not good, but they want to make money off of it, so they'll sell it to kids, things that I don't think are necessarily useful. And so, I feel like I'm fortunate and thankful for not having that around, because it was already difficult for me looking back on it, that I can't imagine what it's like for the youth now growing up in this time.
How is it for you now? Like, I know we can look back at some of the younger people who have to deal with it, but I wouldn't say we're that old, and we still have access to it, and we still have social media. So how do you create boundaries around your relationship with social media?
I try to only follow and look at stuff that I think is productive or useful. A lot of times it's mostly just like, pranks, which are funny sometimes, but I just don't want to have, my feed being of pranks. Or when, at first I feel like social media was just to catch up with your friends, to see what they were doing, or people that you haven't seen in a long time. And then it just became to all this content consumption. So I try to keep the content to just stuff that I think is useful, whether that could be, like highlights of games, of, various sports, or maybe it could be coaching tips or stuff in the gym, or tips for when you're running or lifting, and not so much, like I said, pranks or, just half naked women or naked women. It's very easy to kind of fall into that trap of just like it's that dopamine effect, man, where you're just kind of like sucked into it and you keep wanting more and more.
Yeah.
And then you sit there and you've been, is it death scrolling is what I think it's called?
Yeah.
It's been 30 minutes and you haven't really done anything productive
crazy,
besides.
And then you feel like shit. So then you're like, all right, I might as well just keep going. And next thing you know, it's another 30 minutes. I think there's this gap between the younger people or the people that are right now growing up with social media and us, and is we had so much space to fill, and we would end up finding ourselves on the soccer field, or even if it was in video games. You were playing with someone or against someone, and you would find yourself at a friend's house, or you would find yourself, I don't know, just going to eat or doing all these different things because we had space. And I think
going to the movies was a big thing.
Going to the movies was a big thing. And so we had to solve space. And maybe our parents were working too much, and not too much. They were working as much as they needed, for us to have enough. And so, again, all of our ecosystem had created an abundance of space that we needed to fill. And I think now the dilemma that maybe the younger people have to deal with is access. And so you have excessive access to a world of things. The same app can get you all of this information to make you a better athlete, a better academics, a better how to eat better, and that same app can do the opposite to all those. How if you fast forward into the future and you have a kid?
Hold on, before we continue with that, let me ask you this. So you work with youth more. I mean, I don't work with youth at all. So you work with youth. What do you think is one of the biggest differences from, I guess, how the people within our age group grew up versus what kids or the youth is dealing with now? Like, what is it that you see that's different? Like, they don't listen, they think they know more than they need to, or
That's a
attention span?
Yeah. That's a good question, because I don't think that there's a difference in the human intrinsic. I think the younger me and the me's that I work with now, they all want it to belong somewhere. They all want progress, and they all want meaning. And so it's just a matter of the incubator in which they are in now, how they get those. And so, for example, our desire to belong, we would meet it playing in the street. But perhaps now the desire to belong, you meet it by posting something, and if somebody likes it, then I belong. And then the desire to progress, you progress on the building of your Instagram profile by posting more pictures, versus like, I'm progressing in soccer, or I'm progressing in academics, I'm progressing in helping my parents. And so I think that the human actually doesn't change much, because they have those three intrinsics. It's just a matter of the amount of things around it that allowed them to fill those things. And so it becomes, if I identify that there's a player that is on a deficit on belonging, then that may be a player that I check in on a little bit more. It might be a player that, if we're doing content on the soccer field, that might be a player that we have more videos of, so that if he does spend a lot of time on social media, at least he's feeling that he belongs somewhere because he sees himself, as opposed to try to go and find other places to belong. And then if he sees that he's playing soccer, then it reminds him, like, oh, this is what I do. This is the people that are with me. And so offsetting where they fill themselves from. If I see, for example, a player that has a deficit in, let's say, progress, and they feel like, and you can see it in many different ways. Like, you could see a deficit in progress when there's a player that they think they're too good. And so, for example, I don't know if David, one of the players from East Boston.
I've seen them. I don't know them by name.
Yeah. So there was a moment a couple years ago where, like, ever since I first met him, I knew that he had so much talent. And so sometimes when you're in high school, there's not enough talent to play against, and so. In a moment like that, when I identified that, I hit him up, like, hey, David, come play at Beachmont. And I put him in a space where he was not going to be the best player, and he was going to have to not just be skilled, but think quicker and be more aggressive and play with adults. And so I think having people that are able to see those things and put you in those places that meet that need of, I need to progress, versus I remember the car ride back, he was telling me, he's like, oh, I have an offer from MLS Next, I have an offer from this, I have an offer from that. And there's all these businesses trying to offer him something to progress, right? And then there's this one moment that he gets to spend with me and some other adults where he also will meet that feeling of progression. And at the end of the day, I don't know how he took that day that we got to play in a different environment, but I'm under the impression that he felt a little bit more challenged. And I think that
for sure,
that might be something that maybe we offset in this reality that you don't have the ability to feel more challenged because you can hide behind the screen and you can hide behind only posting the good moments, and having people around you that identify that and put you into these environments. So I would say, I guess to answer your question, I don't think that there's a lot of differences in the human desires. It's just how can we meet them differently? Because I think at the end of the day, every, not just young person, but any human wants to belong, they want to progress, and they want meaning. And so finding a way to still hit those despite of social, even like the podcast, like if I feel that I have athletes that are constantly on social media, well, let me invade that space too so that I can continue to develop them. So now if they're sitting on the couch, I'm also developing their mental side of the game. So those are all different ways that it's all with the intention of that, not just because I want to be on the screen.
So it sounds like you're not not necessarily coaching, but you're just developing the athlete and the person, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's very important to do, because a lot of people just think that they play soccer and that's everything.
Yeah.
When there's other things that go into kind of being a good person and being like someone that contributes to the community.
Yeah. I think I'm.
So it's cool that you do that, bro, because a lot of coaches would just be like, hey, you're really good at kicking this ball into the goal or whatever. And then they'll squeeze and squeeze until the player can't do anything for them.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with if you're a coach that you're trying to meet what you couldn't do as a player, then you use them to help them reach this other level.
Oh God.
And I as much as I will help you try to get into a higher level if possible, my desire is to help you know who you are and develop you as a human, because I think that's going to get you closer to whether you make it or not. You're not going to be a player your entire life. You said, oh God, why?
No, because it's true. Like, a lot of people will kind of try to live through the person that they're coaching. Like, yeah, bro, you didn't make it. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, but you don't have to run this kid into the ground. That he's gonna take you with him. Like,
yeah. And then you start to post. And that's something that I see on social media. You start to post and put your logo on them to say that, like, this person is doing really well, but it's because they train with me.
You know what that just reminded me of? I don't know if this is true or not, but I guess now's the time for you to tell me. So remember when we were younger and we were playing at the East Boston Soccer School? Is it true that, I forgot, was it Boston, what was Blast?
Blast, yeah.
Did the coach come and ask the director of that to ask for you, and then he said that you didn't play there? Is that what happened? I don't remember if it was that they talked to each other, but what I do know was that he came to look for me at. But we should. Do the viewers know about the story?
Do they know about the story?
Well, we're about to tell them.
We're about to tell us. All right. So it's the story. Do you want to tell us? Do you want to tell us what you heard?
No. Okay. So we played at was it East Boston Soccer Academy?
It was at It was at La Presley Park.
It was at La Presley before it was like a turf field. It was some shitty grass field.
Yeah, it was grass.
That was dirt in 95% of it. So they had like a soccer school, but I don't even know if that was actually a school or not.
I don't know what
they called it a school.
Yeah.
And Carlos played there, and if anyone has played him, he was like a very, very talented young player, and so he was lighting everybody up. And so I think that the director of it knew that you had a lot of potential, and he didn't want to give you up. Honestly, I don't know what drove that man to do that, but the story was that this coach from Boston Blast, who I don't think exists anymore.
No, yeah, I think it's Vallejo now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, at that time, like, if you played club, growing up in East Boston, like, oh man, since there was no social media, you would just hear of people playing in club, so you automatically thought they were really good. So at least this is how I perceived it for you. It was like, damn, this kid is really good if this club team is coming from I don't know where. And at that time, with no train card, with no car, nothing, everything seemed far.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn, who knows where this guy's coming from to look for him. And so the story went that this coach came to ask for his availability, I guess, and the director of this program said that you were not a player there.
Interesting.
Is the story that I heard.
Okay.
And then after a while, I stopped seeing you there, so I'm assuming.
So they found me.
they found you.
So the story that I was part of was that the guy finally figured out that I was playing there, and he pulled me aside and he was talking to me about coming to try out for a club team because there was a player in that club team that had played with me at a tournament in Highland Park in Chelsea. And so he wanted to talk to me, but I remember, go ahead.
No, I'm listening,
Okay.
I'm listening.
But I remember that when I talked to him, then there was like a little talk with our coach from East Boston, and he was saying something along the lines like, these people want to come and take you and charge you a whole bunch of money to teach you stuff that like they don't, it was almost like diminishing that. And I mean, I guess when I think about it, I don't know what the motive was, but because at the end of the day, like,
So it did happen.
So that did happen.
Okay,
What I don't know what happened or not was that he told him that I wasn't there. But that happened 100%. That guy did come looking for me, and we did talk. We actually talked. I remember he pulled me aside. It was near the water, and we talked. But what I do remember is that the coach that was our coach was very upset. And but I would love to reconnect with him and ask him, because I was too young to ask and think. But because it wasn't that he was gonna lose my money, because I couldn't even afford to like, I remember I would give him, so the players that couldn't afford it, we would give them our ID, and then everybody would give them the ID, and in order for you to get your ID back, you had to give them, I don't know if it was $5, whatever it was, to play that day. And so what we would do is I would give them the ID, and if you couldn't afford it, then you would help them put stuff away in the container, and then once you help put stuff away, then you'd be good to go. So it was either, I think maybe it could be that my skill not being there would decrease the ability to bring light on the program, but yeah, I don't know. But that story did happen.
I think that you should not look for that guy, just because, man, you heard, like, I heard some really unflattering stories about him.
Yeah,
and
me
then
too.
After a couple of years went by, a friend of ours, then he told me that he does that to people.
Oh, really?
We'll be like, nah, like, why are you gonna go play with them when you're part of this group?
Yeah.
And he tries to kind of like guilt you into or making you the bad guy for leaving.
Yeah.
And also in hindsight, I think that like school was low-key a scam, just because we didn't really like challenge ourselves by playing anyone. It was always like in-house tournaments.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that system would necessarily work now.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't even talk about this, but I've known you for how long? Like,
oh wow, there's a picture that you always sent me.
Yeah. So you should probably put that in the notes too.
We'll put it on the screen. But it's a picture that you've sent me of us playing at the Umana.
Correct.
What do you remember about that picture?
We were like 10 years old. What I remember is that you carried the team for nah, maybe, actually no. I'm not gonna say that, because some people that we still know that were on that team are gonna be like, nah, he didn't carry it. But I mean, I was not that good. So to me, it felt like you were carrying us. And then since we walked home from practice, I was like, yeah, bro, you carried us. So thank you for that. That was probably the first trophy I ever won.
Yeah,
So.
I remember. Yeah, I love those memories of the tournaments there. I remember my dad would like be on the sideline, and when I would score in the final, he'd like run into the field, and I would celebrate with them. But yeah, no. Back to the coaching conversation. I think it becomes really dangerous, not just in coaching, but anytime that you're walking into a profession or a career from a deficit. You're trying to fill something that you couldn't fill yourself, and then you start to try to fill it with the next thing that you create, as opposed to, okay, this stage of my life is done, and how do I pursue the next thing that gives me meaning, but you have to be so honest and know that it's not because I didn't make it to a certain level that I would have wanted to, because then you begin to you see the next person that's really good, and you begin to use them to fill that bucket, and it becomes a really toxic relationship for that player, and then it becomes like borderline.
He just becomes like a prey, and the coach in this case would be the predator.
Yeah. So it goes. It can be really, and I don't think that he did it in a really under-resourced space, but I think it's not different from how clubs do it. Like, I think the reality is that they're doing the same thing, just with more resources and more money. A lot of coaches that wish they would have gone to a higher level, and now they're using kids to perhaps try to get them. And then what becomes really...
Wait, did you feel like that? Did you feel like where you were kind of not being, I don't know if being used is the right word. So like, how was it for you? Like, you're obviously playing in East Boston, which is a very small community at that point. Then you all of a sudden leave, and then it just gets different in the sense like you're no longer in like this like Latino populated area. Now you're outside of what you're used to. Did you kind of feel like the first coach was taking advantage of you, and that the second coach came to save you, or did you ultimately kind of feel the same way? Or you didn't care because you were just playing and it was just a good time?
If you ask me then, I was just playing and feeling my desire to be accepted and validated through my skill. And so if you ask me then, that's what my answer would be. I think if you ask me now, I think that regardless of how you want to place it, the sports world or just any professional world or any world is very transactional. And so they will treat you really well as long as you're adding value to their logo. So for me, I would go into a club, and it's not to say anything wrong. Like, all the coaches were very good to me, and they allow me to, knowing my lack of resources, they allow me to play for free. But at the same time, being aware that you're not actually playing for free. You're playing because you have a lot of skill that allows you to play for free. And if you have somebody that's really good in your team, that's going to attract other people that do pay. And so, for example, having me on the team will allow for there to be kids from maybe private schools like, no, I want to play in that team because that team is nasty. So I'm playing for free, but you just pulled in another 3 players that can pay full tuition.
Because you were on display for them.
Because I'm on display for them. And so the biggest thing is, don't take it personal. Just know that it's a transaction. Is that they're giving you a free access to a team, to traveling, but I'm also giving them the ability to have better.
Or you're an investment.
Yes. And you have to be okay with seeing it that way. Same thing. So then the question, it becomes like really distorted in a sense when you're really skilled at something, you lose sense of why people love you. And so there's been moments where you don't know if they're loving me because of my skill, because I'm charismatic, or for whatever it is that is an attribute of me, as opposed to just loving me for who I am. And it's a battle that, like, I don't think it's told about enough. When you look at these players that are younger and you start to identify talent, and if I let myself only see them as a coach, then I start to value them for their talents as opposed to their personalities. And I know that further down the line, it will be really unhealthy for them as an identity to not know who loves them anymore, because they know they are no longer a player. And it's one of the reasons why when I step back into East Boston, I go with Andres instead of Carlos, because Carlos was so loved for his skill as a player.
He was kind of loved.
or like, I walk into East Boston High School and there's still awards of me.
Oh, actually?
On the thing, or the coach sent me the other day, like, I am the player from BPS who has scored the most goals in all history of BPS.
Shut the fuck up.
And I didn't even know that.
I'll never forget that picture of you in the newspaper when you guys beat Madison Park.
And
they gave you guys that penalty in the last minute.
I don't even remember.
I remember that.
Yeah, you were watching?
I was on the bus ride back. I felt like a champion too.
I didn't even remember that you were there.
Yeah, bro, I was there. I don't know why I was there or how I got on the bus with you guys, but
nah. Well, you live in Eastie and you always.
No, but it was funny because like the Madison kids, like, they felt robbed, which in hindsight I think they were.
And I think
they're making like gun signs to us in the thing, and I was like, damn, bro, like.
And I think it was like, I think the game might have ended early because a fight broke out in the end.
Bro, you scored the penalty and the guy called the game. That was it. And the penalty itself was already questionable, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So I think I really want to create a.
Wait, how many goals did you score? That you're still that, bro? There's no way.
That's what I thought.
There's no way.
That's what I thought too. But
I'm not saying that you couldn't have done it, but I think that there's been a lot of talent.
I wasn't even a striker,
That too.
and I know players that are significantly better. Like there was a guy from Boston International, Wilito Fernandez, where
I
like,
saw him on the newspaper too.
yeah, like I would never compete against them when it comes to scoring more goals, scoring better goals, being a better striker.
You scored more goals than him?
But it's probably because he played less. Like if he would have had all 4 years, he probably would have.
Right.
Yeah. So he probably. But on stat, then you see that.
You know what? I just remember too. I went to a lot of your games because I went to my school was not good at that time. But man, shout out to your coach because he had this really strange tactic where if it was really windy and you guys were attacking against the wind, he'd make you be center back.
Yeah, I remember one game in particular.
And then I was like, bro, what are you doing? And then you kind of looked at me and looked at the coach, and then you told me to look at the wind or to feel the wind. And I was like, this is stupid. But yeah, I mean, shout out to him. I mean, you guys won, I think, but what a strange tactic.
Yeah. But anyways, it is more of a question of how are you looking to fill your self-value in any space that you walk in, because if you don't have enough of it, then you start to take it from others as a transaction, and that can be a really, really toxic.
Wait, so I've actually never asked you this, but I'm sure it's been answered. So you going back into the East Boston community, do you feel like you're kind of giving back, or do you want to kind of help or give better tools to the next Carlos Andres Reese that's coming out of East Boston to, maybe make better decisions, or to at least give them more information that maybe you didn't think you had at that time?
That's a really good question. I don't think it's actually been asked.
Oh.
I enjoy guests that also have questions because it makes me think. But do I feel like I'm giving back? I don't. I think inevitably I am, because whatever I gained, I am bringing back to bring into a space that maybe they wouldn't have. Like for example, the drills, the awareness, the IQ and the development that maybe you would need to be in a club or go to college to be able to have access to those. And so I'm able to bring that back. But honestly, on a decision-making level, I always make my decisions on individuals. And I remember that I went to my sister's graduation, and the guy who's the coach now.
It was so weird seeing her as like an adult now.
Yeah, it's
so strange.
Well, I still don't see her as an adult.
No, that's valid. She just probably doesn't know who I am, but I remember seeing her and it's just weird because like I know who she is, and I'm just like, this is so strange.
Yeah, so I remember she was. I'm gonna brag about her because she's my sister, but she was valedictorian.
You have to.
And so I was watching graduation and watching her speak as valedictorian, and
someone had to get all the brains, right?
Somebody had to get something, But anyway, Smith was near the stage, and then I saw him and I went to say hello to him, and he said that he was taking on the soccer team, and I remember that when I was a student, he was my favorite teacher. He was my math teacher, and he had an amazing ability to make us forget about time and teach us math. And
that's tough to do with math.
And someone who I would sit there and I can't wait for the school day to end because I'm gonna go play soccer. Soccer's my thing.
Yeah.
He made me enjoy learning in a unique way, and that was the first thing that got activated inside of me. I was like, oh, I can work with Jason Smith for however long we may be able to do this. And on top of that, soccer is something that I like to do, and so that was the reason that I took on the role to just do a project with Jason Smith. And then out of that, then there is an overflow of, okay, I am giving back to younger versions of myself, but and which I'm very grateful for. But again, yeah, it's just on a personal level.
And it's cool to see like that the few games that I've gone to, like I see that they're really organized now. I don't know how much of that is like you guys together, how much is that your input, how much is his input, but the way that the boys playing, like it's good. And then I've seen them put in an extra work, so I'm not sure how they're developing, that mindset to kind of keep working. So you guys either at the field or in the gym, and if you're in the gym, re-whack your weights, please. Got to be respectful of the equipment.
That's our left back.
The left back and the right back. I've seen both of you guys. Please re-rack your weights. Thank you.
That's Freddie and Sapo Julian.
Yeah. They seem like good kids, but yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the biggest reward is to see how much they want to work on the craft outside of the season. I remember when I was there, I would only think of East Boston in the fall. And we have created an environment where somewhere in your mind you're thinking about your high school and your peers, and I need to get better for them, and so that the fall is the best fall possible in the winter, in the summer, because not to become a better soccer player, because in the same way that your mom asks you to make the bed because it's going to give you some sort of principles that's going to help you in the real world, trying to help them understand that the way that you prepare for anything is going to be the way that you will be successful, and the only way that you're going to be able to grow, and the only way that you're going to be able to build character. And we just get to use soccer as the excuse, and maybe they won't even see it that way, but at least we're embedded into them the principles that life will demand of them at some point.
And no, it's cool to see, man, like people putting in extra work. I mean, it doesn't have to be in like sports or in the gym. It could be, in whatever, area that you practice, that you just kind of making the time to do extra work, and that'll take you a long way. And I look at it now, and like I give them credit, because at that age I was not I was not about that. I was just kind of like, practice was practice, and that was the only time that I played, and I was just lazy. So it's good to see that that there's youth out there that is taking it serious. So.
And I think for me, it was like, I don't know if I would call it lazy, because I don't see you as somebody that's lazy.
At that time, I was pretty lazy.
But I do think when we do seem lazy is because we don't have the right person to pull it out of us, because we all have it inside of us to want to recklessly go chase something. It's just somebody needs to help us get there. And I do feel that there is a deficit when we were younger of people who could think in a way that my parents just had to survive for their kids. And now I don't just have to survive for myself. I can survive for myself and help other people that might not even have my last name or might not have the same bloodline. And so I think maybe there was a deficit of that we can go in and prevent the laziness by just stepping in there and motivating younger versions of us. But we've gone. Maybe we do another one at some point. You're going to Japan?
Oh yeah, I am going to Japan. On Sunday, so this had to happen today.
This had to happen today, but we can definitely do other episodes.
Friday.
Why are you going to Japan?
I want to say it's out of impulse, really, man. I mean, I have been fortunate enough to kind of go to Europe a couple times, so the places that I wanted to see, I've done. And so as I, started to get older, I was like, damn, there's got to be, the world is so big, there has to be some other place that I want to experience.
Yeah.
And so one day we were eating ramen, and I just told my girlfriend, we're like, just kind of like, oh, we should go to Japan.
Why? Because ramen's made in Japan? Or
yeah, we were just kind of like, just brought it up, kind of like some shit that you say, and then it just kind of went from there. And then, like a month or two later, we just bought the tickets, and the trip felt so far away, but like, now it's already at my doorstep.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I don't really know what to expect. It's going to be probably like the most drastic time change that.
What's the time difference?
It's 12 hours, but like a 14-hour flight.
Okay.
Or something like that. But yeah, I'm super excited, and I don't really know.
So we got to have another episode that is like all about what Japan is like for a Colombian.
Oh, for sure. So make sure we haven't even talked about Arsenal either.
We haven't talked about Arsenal. We haven't talked about a lot of things. So you gotta make a notes in your phone, and in Japan, all the things that come to mind, and then in that episode we'll probably dive into Arsenal. One thing that I always like to try to get to with any guest is, how old are you again?
33.
33, okay. Maybe we end with this question. Out of your 33 years, what is one thing that you're proud of the most?
The thing that I'm most proud of is when it got really dark, I was still light. As corny as that sounds.
Unpack that.
So I think everyone goes through difficult moments in their life, and it just happened to be one that lasted what felt like forever. But it was very difficult, and it was not many people knew because it's not something that I just chose to share. I just kind of kept it to myself, where it was just kind of like all kinds of stress from every aspect of my life. However, I never gave up. I kind of kept working, and I had the hope and the faith that it would get better without even knowing if it would. I just told that to myself to make me feel better. And then eventually it got better over time, but I would say that stretch of time is what I'm most proudest of.
Wow. That's now we definitely need another episode, because we need to dive into that dark moments, because I think we hide that with social media right now. We only put the highlights, and our stories are never of the worst moments of our life, because then maybe people won't like us. But that's a beautiful thing to be proud of. It's funny that you say that, because this past weekend I was telling some of the players that I work with on Sunday that there's something and I don't think it's a coincidence that our first reality is in the darkness, and we are in our mother's wombs, and it is a very, very dark place, and our last place is in the tomb, and it's
that's a good one too.
It's another dark place, and so I'm convinced that that's not a coincidence, and I am also convinced that the material from which light is actually visible is the darkness, and so I think we are designed to be light. And we need more comfort in the dark, and more belief that we are light. And so that is a beautiful way to finish this episode. I think that's something that would help anybody with emotional intelligence, character development, and sometimes when things are so dark, maybe you just need somebody that brings light. And so the relational intelligence is to accept my darkness, and who is somebody that brings light. Thank you for sharing that. Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? Man, it's always a pleasure every time we get together. Like you said, the coffee shop at the soccer field, I feel like we always kind of, chop it up for a while. So now that we actually have the space to do that, I feel like it's fitting that we ran out of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Think it's also tough to kind of talk about, years of things that, years of things that have happened, of our friendship. And it's tough to kind of put that all in like an hour. So, it's fitting that we ran out of time is what I'm going to say.
Beautiful. And that's why it's infinite, the name of our podcast. We can have infinite conversations, and we'll have within the hour infinite things to talk about.
Yeah,
and therefore,
sure. I feel like we went all over the place.
We did, and that's fine.
It's going to be a tough edit for you today.
Let's see, 50 minutes? No, it's going to be fine. Maybe I'll have Melissa edit it.
Good idea.
But Robinson Medina, thank you so much for being part of the Infinite Podcast.
Thank you for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
Of course. Hopefully we started a conversation and it hasn't ended.
No, of course not. Just next time you want to have me back, man, I'm here.
Absolutely, man. All right, bro. Take care.
All right,
have a good trip.
Thank you.